Hi, I'm Rob, N1NUG. If you couldn't tell from the call sign and the radio equipment behind me, I am a ham radio enthusiast. Well, actually, an enthusiast of all kinds of radio. Now, one thing that I really haven't used in the radio hobby is GMRS. But a couple of weeks ago, that actually changed. I went and got my GMRS license, and my GMRS call sign is now WRWG 775. Too bad I didn't put that application in a few hours earlier. I might have been able to get 741. So the first reason that I wanted to play around with it is, well, like I said, I'm a radio enthusiast. It's something that I haven't dabbled with yet, so it's just another thing to do in the hobby. The other reason I thought GMRS would be handy, at least for the household here, is that we have about a 100-acre nature preserve behind our house with walking trails on it. And we very often take the dogs on those trails. And then across the street, we've got about 500 acres with forest roads and that kind of a thing that we also take the dogs on from time to time. Now, when one of us is out there alone, either my wife or myself, and we want to communicate back to the house, right now we've got to use our cell phones. And those work just fine in the area, but they're cumbersome to use when you're trying to carry dog leashes and the dogs are pulling and going crazy. It's just a little cumbersome to pull that out of your pocket, dial it, text, whatever. So I thought just having a radio with a simple push-to-talk switch that you just have to push to communicate would be a little bit easier option, especially when dealing with these two crazy dogs. Another nice thing about the GMRS license is that it doesn't necessarily just apply to your household or an individual. It applies to family members as well. So brothers, sisters, I think even nieces and nephews are covered. And the reason that's convenient for my family is because my sister and brother-in-law live next door. Now our houses are kind of spread out. They're maybe about a quarter of a mile away. So in the past, we've actually tried FRS radios and they just weren't quite powerful enough to work. So I'm thinking the higher power GMRS radios are going to work better for communications around what I'll call the family compound here, between our two houses, the preserve in the back, and the state forest across the street. Now, the last reason that I wanted to kind of dabble with this is because I'm doing a little bit more driving and traveling these days than I was in the past. So I thought it might be handy to have one of these in the car, maybe not necessarily turned on all the time, but available. It's just another communication tool in case you need it out there on the road. In fact, why don't I play you some clips of some stuff that I've heard in my travels around southern New England over the last couple of weeks while I've had this radio with me.
So the town accidentally lit itself on fire, so it's been burning underneath the town, okay? The whole underneath this entire town, like a huge town, is on fire because all underneath the town is all these coal tunnels and shafts. It's like a mine that was mined for like 300 years.
Yes.
Say we just hit row 5 after, because row 4 has 1, maybe 2 spots in it. Could you be a corner, please, for 4, or 3, I mean, until we get over to 5. We got 7 spots in 5.
I'm gonna stop here, man. I'm going back home, I guess, and I got some paperwork to do, and I gotta start getting the tax stuff ready.
And everybody should be on post and ready to go when the race starts as well.
Roger.
I did talk to Josh Miller, so he's still in charge, and I'm not sure about the other guys.
Okay, Miller's good enough.
But since the primary reason for me getting this is communications on the family compound here, let's do a range test out on the trail behind the house and see if this is really going to work. And if it is, then I'll probably get a few more of these radios. If it doesn't, well, I'll just keep this one in the car. For the receive test, I'm going to have 2 different receive setups, and I'll explain why in a minute. For the first setup, I'm going to use my SDR Play software-defined radio running SDR Uno on the computer with an external antenna that's in the rafters of my garage. I've got this tuned to GMRS channel 3, which is what I'll be transmitting on while I walk the trail. So this first setup is going to give me what I'll call best case conditions. A nice sensitive receiver, software kind of control, and an external antenna. For the second setup, I've got two ham radio HTs, both capable of receiving on the GMRS frequencies. I'm going to set these up somewhere inside the house, and this will simulate what I'll call real-world conditions, where one of us will be out on the trail, probably with the dogs, and the other will be in the house somewhere with this, on a counter or something somewhere close by in receive mode. Now, if I had another GMRS radio on hand, I would use that for the test, but all I have are these ham radio HTs. But as far as receive goes, and for the purposes of this test, this should be pretty equivalent to any GMRS radio that is on the market today. Now, the other reason I wanted to set up two receive tests is really because of my camera. The camera will shut itself off after about a 20-minute or so runtime, whereas I can record on this until my hard drive fills up, so hours and hours and hours. So hopefully I'll get enough runtime out of the camera so that I can make it out to kind of the furthest away and lowest spot on the trail to see whether or not I can be heard on an HT in the house. Once the camera shuts off, we'll complete the test with the SDR recordings and just kind of see how it goes from there. One last thing to mention before I get started with the test is that all of the frequencies I've got programmed in this radio right now have a CTCSS tone programmed in. And you're going to hear that when we switch over to the SDR Uno receive tests. It's going to be quite prominent. Here's test number one. I'm just out of sight of the house at the sort of first junction in the trail. WRWG 775, testing at the first trail junction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775.
WRWG 775, testing at the first trail junction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775. WRWG 775, testing from the southeast junction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Southeast junction test. WRWG 775. WRWG 775, testing from the southeast junction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Southeast junction test. WRWG 775.
So this is one of the lower spots on the trail, but I'm still fairly close to the house, maybe a quarter mile or so. Now we're going to start heading uphill, but getting further away.
WRWG 775, testing from the boulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG, testing at the boulder, marker B1. WRWG 775, testing from the boulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG, testing at the boulder, marker B1.
This is one of the higher points on the trail, if not the highest, but it's not the furthest from my house. So we're going to keep going and see how it turns out.
WRWG 775, testing from the southwest junction at post B2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775, heading down the blue trail. WRWG 775, testing from the southwest junction at post B2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775, heading down the blue trail.
From this point on, we're going to lose some elevation and really get behind this hill that's towards the direction of my house.
WRWG 775, testing from the old archery range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775 from the old archery range at marker SR2. WRWG 775, testing from the old archery range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775 from the old archery range at marker SR2.
So where I'm standing now is probably furthest from the house and lowest in elevation. So hopefully it still works here. From here on out, we should be getting closer or at least more in the clear.
WRWG 775, testing from the pond overlook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG, pond overlook test. WRWG 775, testing from the pond overlook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG, pond overlook test. WRWG 775, testing from the opposite end of the trail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Opposite end of the trail test. WRWG 775. WRWG 775, testing from marker B3 at the North Junction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775, marker B3, North Junction. WRWG 775, testing from Fernlandia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. WRWG 775, Fernlandia.
We're starting to get a little close to the house now, but this is another low spot, so I thought it would be a good spot to check from. So that test went pretty well. I was actually quite happy when I got back and looked at the footage that I was able to hear myself on the HT in the house, all the way at the kind of furthest spot away from the house. I think this Wuxin is going to work out just fine for my needs, especially if I replace the stock antenna, which I seem to have lost already, with something a little bit better. I could probably get just a touch more range, and the signal will be nice and strong on an HT, no matter where I am on the trail or in the house here. So what do you guys think of GMRS? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you messed with it? Do you have your GMRS license? Are you considering it? Or is GMRS not something that you're interested in or wouldn't work for your needs? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.